Back with the best of them. Had to happen. Who coming in this week in Pick of the Pops? Top 30, bottom 10, number 27. I won't get fooled again. And right up. The ratings read 30, 29, then 24, then a 20. Came out last week to 21, goes right back up to number 12 this week, 10 years after, and Loved Like a Man. And out of... And they're heading towards the top 3, all right. Up to this week's number 6 in Pick of the Pops comes Hot Legs and Neanderthal Man. And there he is in 4 weeks, back at number 1, Elvis Presley and the Wonder of You.
Oh, you weren't listening, I see. Comes from the Move, it's called Flowers in the Rain.
Woke up one morning, half asleep.
From the Move, there, a Revive 45, and that's called Flowers in the Rain.
Yeah, a very big gas down there. Comes from 3 Dog Night. Mama told me not to come.
Top weight in the Pick of the Pops top 10 was number 6 this week. Back to number 11 comes Fairweather with Natural Sinner. On the spin for months, came in 3 weeks ago, number 28. Last week at 24, all of a sudden it's a smash and Pick of the Pops, and that's for sure number 11 for the Poppy family. And which way you going, Billy? I see, straight to number 6. And she's got the sights on number 1, all right. Straight to number 6 this week in Pick of the Pops comes Frida Payne and Band of Gold, but Frida's got a catch. Close to that top 3 from last week's number 7 to this week's number 5 goes Bread and Make It With You.
Don't let this smile I wear make you think that I don't care.
Oh, they made it all right. 29, 25, 11, 5. 2 weeks at number 2. This week's number 1 in Pick of the Pop, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles and Tears of a Cloud. And all of a sudden he's back all right. 2 weeks outside the 20, 29, then 26. Number 20 this week for Creedence Clearwater Revival and Pick of the Pops, and Long As I Can See the Light. The message comes through loud, clear and strong, and Edwin Starr flashes into the Pick of the Pops top 20 this week at number 16 with War. All of a sudden he's out of the top 10, all right. Last week's number 7, this week's number 11 and Pick of the Pops for Bobby Bloom and Montego Bay. And they've arrived in the top 10. Three weeks of tranquility that breeds 24, 11, 10 this week in Pick of the Pops for Matthew, Southern Comfort and Woodstock, and they're about to take on...
1, 2, 3, 4.
Only by 1 minute in the right direction, all right, from 10 to a 9 this week for the Temptations in Pick of the Pops and Ball of Confusion. And that's Black Sabbath still at number 5 and still at number 4. And still they kept waiting. 2 weeks at number 4 for the Tremolos in Pick of the Pops with Me and My Life. And that's the big band Nicky Moose got together. The big band that did come back straight to number 18 this week in Pick of the Pop, CCS and Whole Lot of Love and a real... Last week from number 12 up to number 11. Haven't taken the top 10 this week. They're back number 13 for Bob and Marcia and Pied Piper, but... Strangely enough, only 2 weeks in the top 10. Thought it would have been longer. Never mind. From last week's number 8 back to this week's number 11 and Pick of the Pops come the Temptations and Just My Imagination. That's the climb all right from a 19 to a 12 to this week's number 4 for Don Parton and Indian Reservation.
Getting a little more funky and then a bit rock and roll for the end of the show. Had Me a Real Good Time is the title of this song, and it's a bit of a goodie. One of the best yet from the Faces. Yeah, had me a real good time.
And so far, that's 40 weeks in the Pick of the Pops top 20. Last week's 18. This week's number 20. The last time, I think, for Neil Diamond and Cracklin' Rose. Only 2 weeks in the top 10. Last week to number 15. Back to number 17. Come the equals in Pick of the Pops to the Black-Skinned Blue-Eyed Boys on one. That's right, she is, and up goes Tom Jones again from 17. This week's number 15 in Pick of the Pops for Tom Jones, and She's a Lady. And so far, that's 14 weeks in the Pick of the Pops top 30. Last week's top 10 at number 7, out of the top 10. Back to number 14 comes T-Rex and Ride a White Swan. And that's the Supremes coming out of last week's top 3. Down at number 4 this week in Pick of the Pops, the Supremes and Stone Gloved. The last 2 weeks at number 17, all of a sudden, bang, up to number 7 in the top 10 comes Dave and Ansel Collins in Pick of the Pops and Monkey Spanner, but they... That's it from the 4 to this week's number 3 in the top 3 for Ashton Gardner and Black in Resurrection Shuffle. And he's in the top 3 red light, all right. He climbs again from last week's number 9. Up to this week's number 8 is Neil Diamond and Sweet Caroline, but... Came in last week at number 20, in the right direction by 2 up to number 18, Dawn, and knocked 3 times. Oh yes, she's well all right, all the way from last week's number 30 into the 20. Number 15 this week for Joji Fame and Alan Price and Rosetta and... What a climb from last week's number 29. This week's number 11 for Ringo Starr and Pick of the Pops, and it don't come easy.